All right. So, do you guys see it recording? Because I see it recording. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, we have to pick 6 dates.
But we also got to talk how awesome our geneticist is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I feel bad for the guy. I feel like he was definitely way ahead of his time and like his like progressive thinking. And everybody was just kind of like, Mueller, like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely something wrong with you. Then he had like this mental breakdown, which makes sense.
And I heard that he almost died during the Cold War because he was in Russia for a little bit of time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he was spouting stuff that Stalin didn't want to hear, and that was kind of dangerous.
Yeah. So I forget what it was called, like it was basically like Mueller and this other geneticist. His name began with like an L, it's like Linrowski or something. And then like
Was
yeah, and he started like this whole movement, and Mueller was like, I don't agree with this at all. And at that time Stalin was like starting to like murk people and like assassinate them or arrest them, you know. And Mueller was like, oh, oh shit, like I should probably leave.
Yeah. Yeah. 1936 is when that happened. He had to
I think that's
leave.
definitely an important date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1936. So right, he left the Soviet Union, and then where was it? Then he joined he enlisted in a war. I wrote it down. Unless you guys know. Gain support.
Let's see.
I think I have it in my outline actually. I'm looking at my summary thing. Yeah, like he enlisted, I think, in maybe it was Brazil. It was like a Spanish Civil War, and he couldn't like go back to the US, and he couldn't go back to the Soviet Union because Stalin was gonna murder him. And the US was, you know, on his case, like the FBI was on his case for being a communist. So
I did not know that.
yeah, yeah. Hold on. Let me look at my files. I'll bring up my notes. Okay. So let's see. Yes. Okay, here it is. So after right, he had a huge debate with Lensenko, but Lysenko had more favor. He left, and yeah, so he went to Spain to enlist in the Spanish Civil War. It was the Spanish Civil War, and then he couldn't go back to the Soviet Union or the U.S. But then his buddy Huxley, like Mueller contacted Huxley, and he was like, "Bro, like I don't know what to do," and Huxley was like, "No problem. I'm gonna talk to my boy. We're gonna get you into the Institute for Animal Genetics at the University of Edinburgh." And then Mueller joined that as like a guest investigator. So that was pretty wild.
Oh
Definitely
my
like his,
gosh. I just
yeah.
saw a New York Times article in September of 1937, Muller briefly returned to Moscow to pack his belongings to discover that 3 of his Soviet geneticist students had disappeared under the NKVD auspices.
Whoa, what? Ew, that's so eerie.
Oh my
Like, these are good facts. I feel like if people are looking through a timeline, like, I would grab me, like, this whole, like, Soviet assassination.
Tasked with conducting regular police work and overseeing the country's presence in labor camps. That's the NKVD. People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs. Wow.
That's eerie. So that's definitely a fact that we can put. So we have to pick 6. So I think, you know, obviously we'll definitely put his artificial, you know, mutation paper of 1927 down, because that was like the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He worked with T.H. Morgan. I believe he's a geneticist.
yeah, Morgan was like his so it was Morgan's lab, and then Mueller worked under him. But like they kind of had they definitely butted heads, because from what I read, Mueller kind of had issues like producing data and stuff, but he was more like of like he came up with ideas, and Morgan didn't really agree with those ideas. He kind of went towards his other two students more so. I forget their names or somewhere. He basically favored his other 2 students more so than Muir, because he didn't really believe in Muir's genetics theories as much. And let me see. Yeah, Thomas Hunt Morgan. So let me see. He joined that lab. So yeah, that's another important thing. So like between 1910 and 1915, that's when Mueller worked under Morgan, and he was interested because Morgan was kind of concerned about what role do chromosomes play in hereditary, and he was working with fruit flies.
Yeah.
So that's like a good one, because that's
that kind of, I guess, inspired him to use fruit flies.
So that's another important date. So like when he worked with Morgan. Sarah, what did you think was really cool about Mueller?
I was thinking that like in 1918 is when he initially proposed the explanation for the dramatic discontinuous alterations in Anaeothera marciana. I can never
That's a good, yeah, that's another good one. Right,
that's
because
the plant species, but it's like the research proposal that led to his work with the flies and the mutations.
I think that's definitely important. So let's see. What year was that? You said 1918?
Yeah, he proposed the explanation for dramatic discontinuous alterations.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I think these facts are good because we're kind of saying like what led to him to this like big discovery.
And we're also like touching on bases that are like in between his genetics research. He was also like a soldier on war and stuff like
that. Yeah.
Like talk about multitasking.
I know. And like no wonder why he had issues with his marriage. Like his wife was probably like, bro, like you're doing like all this research and you're also like literally fighting the US about communism. We have a kid. What are you doing?
Then there was also like he clearly didn't have like a good path in politics, because there was also that thing that happened with the Nazis. It was in 1932 when he moved to Berlin to work with physicists like Nicolai. It was the FBI investigated Mueller because of his involvement with that paper, The Spark, which was going against communists. It was a communist student newspaper in the University of Texas that Mueller helped to distribute.
Yeah, the Spark. So right, the Spark is basically what sparked the FBI to be like, oh, like he's trying to showcase his communist propaganda, like what the hell is that about? And then when he went to Germany, and Hitler was elected that year, the Nazis basically like infiltrated his institution, and that's when he left to go to the Soviet Union. He was like, "Oh, like this shit's getting crazy. I'm gonna leave."
It was like one thing after another with Germany to Russia.
Yeah, yeah. And the FBI was like, "Dude, like this is looking worse and worse. Now you got Hitler on your like list, then Stalin. You know, you're not looking too good." I remember reading, I mean, I don't think we're gonna put this down, but I remember reading that like after all of that shit went down, and he was kind of like coming out about like what happened in the Soviet Union and what happened like in Germany. Like he was basically like, they're crazy. Here's what happened. And him and his wife were like burning all these papers that like tied any of his students or friends to him, like between Mueller and communism, like because he didn't want to like rat out his friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think the Spark is a good one because that's why the FBI started to like look at him. I know, I was trying to think like I mean I definitely want to include the history attached to his discovery. I think we have a lot of information. I think this is going to be really good. So let's see. I'm glad that we're just doing this now instead of like way later, because this class can really pile on. Do you know around what year, like, because this for the Spark, because I wrote that it was while he was at the University of Texas.
Yeah, it said because it was a student newspaper at University of Texas. I only know when he moved to Berlin, and that's when the FBI like tracked him down.
I think, let me see. I'm just gonna look up to see when he was at the University of Texas and say it was probably around that time because I couldn't find a date.
He worked at like a bunch of different universities.
I know. Tell me about it.
Like so many.
Oh, there it is. Later, 1932, Muller moved to the Soviet Union after being investigated by the FBI due to his involvement with the communist newspaper. The Spark, yep.
Yeah. Oh wait, did it say the year?
1932 that's when he moved to the Soviet Union because of the FBI.
So I'm gonna say it's definitely, it has to be that year for the Spark. Dude, 1932 was a big year for him. So 1932, like, right, the FBI started to investigate him, and the local newspapers basically labeled him like a communist. So everybody in the area knew, like, or thought that he was a communist. Um, then Sadler came around, another geneticist, and said, like, Mueller, like, you don't know what you're talking about. X-rays don't do point mutations. I think it's more like chromosomal rearrangements. And after that, he like broke. He like disappeared from his lab. He didn't show up to his class the next day. His wife didn't know where he was. Everybody was trying to find him. And then he was found walking along a road, and he was like covered in mud and rain, and basically he slept off an overdose. He attempted to like kill himself,
Oh my
and
god.
and then he went to class the next day like everything was fine.
Is this guy secretly like Indiana Jones or something? Like,
Right. And then,
he's like,
dude, and then not only that, but like shortly after that, he gave a presentation at the Third International Congress of Eugenics that like showcased both like major papers of his that he did. and it was basically about like the dominance of economics over eugenics. So like he had this huge breakdown and then did all of this like everything was fine. And people and like his like his papers, like his presentation like was like really like solid, but like people like couldn't get over like him being a communist and then also finding out about his suicide attempts. So they didn't like really take in what he was saying. And then because of that and the FBI, he was like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm going. I'm going to Germany.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's appropriate to put his attempt down. I think it's a, you know, it kind of displays like what kind of stress he was under, but I don't know if that's appropriate.
How many things do we have so far? 4?
We have a lot. Yeah, we definitely do have a lot. So I think we could bring up the timeline. And we
Yeah.
could just like write down like what we're thinking and mold it over.
So
Uh,
we're supposed to put, like, I know she has the link for the timeline on Blackboard, so we're supposed to use that, and we just put the stuff
yeah,
here.
yeah, basically. Um,
Or is it like everybody's putting their
oh yeah, everybody is putting their stuff down in here. So like everybody's gonna open the same link and we're all just gonna work on it. And then she wrote upload the data and some sort of video.
Mhm.
Okay, no, okay, yeah. Okay, so let's see.
So I know that this is due, it says October 15th, but what exactly is the thing that's due October 5th?
So that is so like you know like in class we were doing like questions about cats and labs, and we were just working through like questions and doing like the fork line, we were doing the Punnett square.
Yeah.
So we're basically making our own.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be making questions that like she made questions in those, and then yeah, it's not too bad. I think like if you just like look at the outline from her cat in her lab, that's kind of what I did, and I built mine off of that. Okay.
Wait, how are you able to do the assignment that's due on the 5th?
So it's basically exactly like when she went over the cat in lab um feedback things, where like she was like, oh okay, so cats have these genes, and then she would ask questions based off of that. And then that's when she did the Punnett square and the fork line method. She did include both of those in her feedback link, so that's what I use to just view that and just get ideas of like what, like how should I go about mine.
Like, are we making a question similar to the dog one we did during the feedback?
Yeah, yeah.
Oof.
um I know it's not, well, it's not too bad, it's not too bad. She did under her assignment kind of list like what she wants, so
Yeah.
that's like it's not like as complicated, I don't think, as like the lab or the, yeah, the Labrador one.
So we could use something like blood types.
Yeah, blood types would work, just like anything that has like 2 or more genes, that would
Okay.
work. um I really went off the wall with mine, and I it was like late last night and I was like, what could I do this on? So I decided to like make up one, and I did Harry Potter genetics for muggles and magic folk, and I even threw in Parseltongue because why not? I was like, all right, let's make this kind of entertaining for myself. What could I do? Okay, so we could actually all open up the Google Doc. and because like we can all view this together, I guess we can like talk about. So we're gonna, I know like we said, we're gonna do 1910 to 1915 when Mueller joined Morgan's lab. 1918, the Sarah, that's the one that you came up with where he made like I can't say these words, but you know what I mean. Um, then we're gonna do, I think we should do 1927 for that major paper, basically about his discovery. How many is that? Yeah, that's 4.
Wait,
And
so it
then
was working with Morgan was 1.
yeah,
Then 1918, and then what was the other one?
oh, so the 1918, that one was like his work leading up to the X-ray.
Okay.
1910 to 1915 was when Mueller joined Morgan's lab.
Then we're 1927 is when he posted his paper.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we should do the one where he got his Nobel Prize, which is
Yeah.
like 1946, I think.
I know, because he produced it like 4 papers, so.
Oh yeah, he requested it like 3 separate times, but the war was getting in the way.
Yeah, yeah.
He was constantly asking for a nomination and wasn't getting one.
And he was like, why not? And people were like, dude, like, where was your data? Like, we think this is awesome, but like, what the hell?
How in depth do these points have to be on the timeline?
I'm gonna say I want
I kind of like, for example, I did one in 1937. I just said Hermann Muller forced to leave the Soviet Union as a result of the Lysenko controversy.
that's perfect. Yeah, like a good summary. All right. So let's see. Yeah,
Yeah,
1932.
I don't think you have to
Okay.
put in the parentheses. I think you can just write I can't speak. Yeah.
Discontinuous, yeah. I'll just do.
Then we have to put our initials by them, or
Oh yeah, yeah. She did say something. What did she say about that? I think you are right.
Put your initials after each event in fact/fact.
So do we have to put all of our initials?
Let me.
I mean, I guess so if we're working on it. I don't know.
Hold on, let me ask Discord.
honestly, I keep forgetting about Discord.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it does make sense, like for us to like put a little bit of information because everybody's going to be piling on their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense.
Oh, she's playing No Man's Sky right now.
Dude, I remember when I bought that game, I was like, what the hell? Because remember that, like, it was at first it was so bad that the company said, we'll just give you a full refund if you return it within 24 hours. Like, but now, I mean, they definitely did like a lot of upgrades. She's gonna watch this and probably be like, wow, like I love No Man's Sky, how dare you?
I mean, Garrett's on, so.
Yeah.
What was Morgan's full name? I think it was Thomas. He seemed like a Thomas.
It was
I don't want to just put Morgan.
Morgan. Thomas Hunt Morgan.
Yeah, thought so.
Oh, I really hope it's only 6 events per group because
That's a little confusing too.
I didn't even think of that.
Right. Like how much information would be on there? It's a lot. I'm just gonna try to stick to like one sentence. And then I'll go in Discord and be like, how much information would you want? Because we can, I mean, since we're doing this early, we can always just go back and
Mm-hmm.
add.
Text box.
What about like years of awards or anything?
Probably just the Nobel Prize.
I
Yeah.
would, yeah, I would stick with that because he did a lot. I just remember, like, from my outline, she was like, didn't really seem interested in that as much. But yeah, I think that right, the Nobel Prize he got in 1946.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of like, if you really think about it, I mean, he came up with this in like 1927, almost like 20 years later, he got the prize for it. And I think it was just because like he didn't like the way that he presented his data and everything, people were skeptical. So let me just see what we have so far. Right. Yeah, 1926 he did two experiments, and then 27 he did the third experiment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Also, I found a really good paper. It was his paper that he wrote. It was like the problem with genetics modification. And there, like, he summarized all three experiments. I don't know if you want that or need it, but if you want it, I have it.
Yeah, I don't know if she's doing the initials like just to keep track of
Who's doing
participation in
who?
each group,
Yeah,
because that's kind of what I was thinking.
that makes sense.
Because if everybody's putting all of their scientists on this timeline, there's no way we can each fit 18 total facts per group.
Right. Um,
Yeah. So I'm just putting all of our initials on them.
right, because we did all discuss it. And let me see. So 1932. I guess. Let me see. So 1932 is a big one. What do you guys think we should put? I mean, we could just say, I'm thinking when he left the US, went to Berlin, Germany, Nazis took over, and then he went to the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Right? Okay.
We're
So,
gonna put in the fact for the FBI.
oh yeah, should we do like two separate things or all? I guess like all as one. So he wrote the spark. The FBI was on this case. He left for Germany. Nazis took over, went to the Soviet Union.
That's a little weird because it's
Yeah,
like,
it is.
so the one line I'm seeing all this stuff is after a period of time, Mueller became disillusioned with the political situation in the United States and life in Texas. And so in 1932, he moved to Berlin, Germany, to work with Nikolai Rosovsky.
Oh yeah, we should include him because he's the one who invited him over.
That's initially his move was to be limited sabbatical that turned into an 88-year, 5-country stay.
Basically.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
because he went from like country to country. Because
Yeah.
he went in Berlin, and it was initially supposed to be sabbatical. And then that same year, when he was in Berlin, the FBI got on his case for his communist paper or something, the Spark.
Right.
So then he went to Leningrad and then to Moscow. And then in 1936 and then 1937, he was forced to leave the Soviet Union. Then he went to Edinburgh in 1937.
Right.
And then 1940, he went back to the US.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Like, what a life. Meanwhile, like, I'm at home, like, watching Netflix, doing nothing. Mueller's out there, like, being Mueller. Okay, so what do you I think I'm just a little overwhelmed by all of that. What do you where do we begin?
Definitely an important date is 1932.
Yeah.
Not sure which one we should use, either the FBI one or working with Nikolai Rozovsky.
I think the FBI.
Because that's what led to him working with Nikolai.
Yeah, that's like when like shit went down. When the FBI was like, we see what you're writing. So I guess like, so 1932, Mueller was under, and you can change what I'm writing, but Mueller was under investigation by the FBI for writing, for, I guess, for his communist views in, it sounds bad, you can change it, but it's a start. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so right now we're at 6.
Mm-hmm.
You put when he, yeah, you put about the Soviet Union. Should we add anything more to 1932? Because, like, in Berlin, Germany, like, did he do anything, like, monumental? To me, it just kind of sounded like a stepping stone. between the like US and Soviet Union.
I think he just went to work with him.
Yeah, basically. All right, I'll put. Sarah, what's your initials?
SH.
SH. And I mean, like I said, we're doing this way earlier, so if we feel like we want to change something or add something, we definitely have time to do that. Should we do the 1927 publish of Artificial, or how do you guys feel about that?
What publish?
When he published like his paper, I don't think so, because I think like
No.
we already have the 1926, like when he actually did it.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine. All right. So how does everybody feel? But this is actually a lot quicker than
Yeah,
I
I
thought.
think we're definitely good with this.
I think we're good. All right, cool. So if we feel like, oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah, that's a good idea because there's probably going to be a lot of people. Yeah, if we like feel like we have to change something or anything like that, we'll just email each other. Um, Besides that, I mean, is there anything else like you guys want to talk about? More Mueller convo? I don't know.
I don't know if there's anything else about Mueller. Got it. After he remarried when he remarried, he was forced to change his name by his wife.
Yeah, I saw that too. His wife was like, I don't really like your name. I like this better. And like, of course, he was probably all stressed out already from everything else. He was like, okay, fine, I'll change it. That's kind of like a weird thing. Wonder what that relationship was like.
There's one thing I found funny. It was I don't know where this was. I think it was in a memoir where pretty much they wanted to stop like all the information that they were giving out just to let you know that Herman's childhood name was Herman spelled with one N instead of two.
What?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Who is
Yeah.
this?
Like the first sentence of his family and education, well, the second sentence was, his friends knew him as Herman. Okay. That's it.
Solid. What a big change.
Mm-hmm. And he was also a weird guy at some points.
What do you mean?
I don't know when this happened, but he believed in choosing the genes they want for their children through adoption.
Oh, yeah, like didn't he like kind of have like this idea of like the superhuman or something where he just
Yeah.
he called
Preserving
it
the
something.
sperm of gifted people.
Yeah, what's up with that, dude? That's like a little like what?
It was a little weird sometimes.
Yeah, like he thought of like this like superhuman that like there are genes that can code for like that we can put in combinations to make like the person. Which maybe he has a point. I don't know.
You never know.
I don't know.
Like,
Bet the Nazis love that one.
uh, man. It's weird.
Yeah,
Scientists are occasionally just weird.
they
Especially
are weird
geneticists,
people
because they are weird. I think geneticists are the weirdest people.
because they manipulate, you know, on a very small scale, and then like the organism can turn out a completely different way than what it did, you know?
And they'll just give out crazy ideas like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just, what if we manipulate the DNA for this one so it smells of lavender instead or something?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
okay.
true. Yeah, that's true. All
All
right.
right.
I think we're good. I'm gonna stop recording. I This is the first time I'm doing this, so I hope I do not fuck it up for all of us. All right, guys, this was really cool. I'm